Welcome into another video in my series where we're going through and testing every single weapon inside of Modern Warfare 3 to see how viable these weapons are for you to use inside of your Modern Warfare 3 Zombies games. This is going to include the aftermarket parts, the aftermarket conversion kits, and the MW2 weapons. Now that brings us to today's video, which is another one of your amazing viewer suggestions down below, and I'm super excited to run this one today. It was tons of fun. So today the suggestion is going to be to use a wonder weapon, the RayGun, and use that all the way through. So in today's video, we're going to be taking the wonder weapon, the RayGun, through all three tiers, taking on bounty contracts all the way through to see just how viable the RayGun is for you to use inside of your Modern Warfare 3 Zombies games. So if you guys are new around here and you like to see how weapons perform inside of Modern Warfare 3, then make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss out any future uploads from myself on Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. As well, down below, starting next month in June, my streams will be starting back up, and I stream a ton of custom zombies and other zombie-related games, and I'd love to have you guys come in to hang out. You'll find the link for that down in the description below. So without further ado, let's get to the RayGun review video today. Alright, welcome into another one of my weapon review videos for MW3, but today is going to be a little bit different, as the viewer suggestion today was to try a RayGun only run, and so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to spawn in and put on our RayGun, our perks, including PhD Flopper, because that's kind of a must when using the RayGun. We got a couple extras today, the golden armor plates and my ether blade. Now, I'm not sure if this RayGun is going to be strong anymore or not. I do remember when it first came out how everybody was trying super hard to get the RayGun schematics, and I'm not too sure. I haven't really used this since basically Season 1, so I was kind of intrigued to see just how this RayGun performs. Our beloved and well-known wonder weapon, the RayGun, that started all the zombies wonder weapons, is the first one we had, so I was excited to see how this iconic wonder weapon performed at, you know, this time in the game's life cycle. And we got our first bounty of the day, which was a mimic, and we're here with nothing on the RayGun. But it is, I guess, gold or legendary. I don't know what the actual damage is on the rarity is on the wonder weapons, but it is yellow, I guess, gold. So we're now pack 1 on the RayGun, and it's time to go and grab ourselves another bounty contract inside of tier 1. Now our first bounty contract was like 5 or 6 shots, so it wasn't too bad. I feel like I've deleted bounty contracts quicker with other guns, but I wanted to see Pack-a-Punch, so we got a Mangler, 1, 2, 3, and it took, I think, about 4 or 5 shots, and that Mangler was done pack 1 inside of tier 1 on a bounty contract, so it wasn't too bad. We got Tombstone and a schematic out of the deal, which I was hoping to pass off to a player before the end of the match. But at this point, I was kind of excited to jump straight into tier 2 and see how the RayGun performs in tier 2 at pack 1. In that our Mangler contract inside of tier 1 was a 5-shot kill, so I was kind of hoping to see how this would perform inside of tier 2, and we got a Disciple, which is not my favorite contract, but this one actually worked out pretty well. It's a lot more than 5 shots for sure, but I pretty much just stood here and dished out the damage to the Disciple. So far, so good with the RayGun. Definitely dealing some damage for sure to the bounty contracts. I was feeling pretty confident with it, in that I was able to destroy a Disciple right there. So I wanted to go and visit Pack-a-Punch and get the RayGun to Pack-a-Punch 2, and then grab another bounty contract. You know, now that their bounty contract's going to be stronger because we're at pack 2, I do wish that you could put camos on the wonder weapons. That is something I definitely wish that they would bring into the game. Let me know if you agree with me on that. So it was time to grab our second bounty contract inside of tier 2, and we grab another bounty, and this one was a mimic again. And it was interesting to see because this mimic was definitely a lot stronger. Like, it took a lot longer to take out this mimic, and we are pack 2 inside of tier 2. And I just wasn't impressed at this point with the RayGun. I was like, what is going on with this? It just does not feel like a wonder weapon. It did not feel very strong to me. Let me know if you guys enjoy using the RayGun. I mean, it definitely is strong on the zombies for sure. I mean, you can see it just pretty much one-shots the zombies inside of tier 2 and they just explode. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I did put dead wire detonators on this run, but it didn't seem to do absolutely anything to the ray gun. So I'm not sure if that was something that was bugged or whatever, but definitely dead wire detonators does not work on the ray gun from what I can tell. I did have one mangler in tier 3 go off with electrical damage, but I feel like that was elemental pop and not the dead wire detonators. So now we got another bounty contract inside of tier 2. It's a mangler and we are pack 2, so I was expecting this to be much stronger, and it's definitely not bad. Like, it was a lot stronger than pack 1 dealing with the disciple for sure. So it definitely, I noticed the damage increase going from pack 1 to pack 2 inside of tier 2 for sure. So now I was really kind of curious to see what this could do inside of tier 3. So it's time to throw on my PAP 3 crystal that I bring in with every single run, and then it was time to mark our Wonder Fizz machine inside of tier 3, make my way over to it and grab the rest of our perks, which is a bunch because we were running really low on perks today. So I grabbed all of those. And then it was off to tier 3 to grab a bounty contract and see what this ray gun can do inside of tier 3. We're max damage on it in we're pack 3 on the ray gun inside of tier 3. So we picked up a bounty. We got another mimic. Seemed to be a lot of mimics today. And this fight right here is where my heart kind of sank. The iconic ray gun just did not seem to be doing any substantial damage to my bounty contract at all. This fight took like an immense amount of time. The zombies are definitely not much of an issue, you know, that you can 2-tap the zombies inside of tier 3, so that's definitely not an issue. The crowd control with the ray gun inside of tier 3 is definitely something that's viable. But you can see the damage, or should I say lack of damage, I am doing to my mimic bounty contract inside of tier 3 with this ray gun triple pack-a-punched. I was thoroughly under-impressed. Like, I was really hoping this iconic wonder weapon, the one we've used since, you know, World at War and all the way through, was going to do a ton of damage to my bounty contract, but it just does not. This fight was such a struggle to deal with and deal damage to the bounty contract for sure. I mean, you can see here, I'm firing a ton of shots into him. I'm getting some damage, some critical damage to the mimic, but like, there's not enough. We're not even halfway through the mimic already, and I know for a fact, like, the FJX Horus, I would have finished this mimic by now. I feel like the crossbow with dead wire detonators, I might have been able to finish this mimic by now. Any of the other weapons I've been reviewing recently, I feel like are stronger than this inside of tier 3. I do feel like the ray gun, if you're going to, say, tier 2, and you've got a double pack-a-punch or triple pack-a-punch, you'll definitely be able to, you know, take care of things for sure inside of tier 2, but personally, I just feel like for tier 3, the ray gun just doesn't do enough damage to bounty contracts for it to be something, you know, viable to use inside of tier 3. It's just not enough to take out bounty contracts. You can see I'm just struggling to even deal damage to this mimic constantly. Like, it's just not enough. I moved too far away from the mimic. He does grab a bunch more health as he runs back to where he's supposed to be. So heads up for that. I can't remember when that change came in, but if you guys pull your bounty contract too far away from where it spawned, it will rush back to its spawn area and regen some of its health. So just a heads up for that. But here we are back, re-engaging the mimic. You can see he's back up to half health, and I'm still just not seeing enough damage from the ray gun on the critical shots on this mimic for sure. So I would say, is the ray gun going to be viable for you to use inside of your games? Well, yes and no, because yes, it definitely handles crowd control. It definitely handles the riffraff, and you can take down bounty contracts with it, as you see here. It's just going to be a bit of a struggle and going to be a bit of a bullet sponge using the ray gun inside of tier 3. I'm like, we're maxed, so triple pack punch with the ray gun, and I was definitely still struggling to deal with that bounty contract for sure. So we had to go visit George, the Guardian of the Arches, because I wanted to see how George stood up to a ray gun triple pack inside of tier 3. And George fired up his laser attack almost immediately at us, so he's definitely not in the mood for this today. And I could already tell that this was going to be a bit of a struggle to deal with George, because usually I can crack ahead as soon as he fires up a laser attack with whatever weapons I'm using. And the ray gun just did not crack his head at all with the laser attack. I had to move. I was worried about my armor plates coming off because of the damage the laser attack was doing, and the weak amount of damage that the ray gun was doing to George. I was thoroughly not impressed, to be honest with you guys. Just my own personal thoughts on this, doing the review. I'm not a fan of the ray gun. I just don't feel it deals enough damage. I feel like it needs to be a lot stronger. Excuse me, it is a wonder weapon, and I just feel like it's very underwhelming to use. The FJX Horus, some of the other SMGs, some ARs are definitely dealing out a lot more damage and a lot faster to bounty contracts. For sure. But having said all the negatives I feel about the RayGun, I will say as far as crowd control and dealing with the dogs and just the overall zombies and the congestion that is with tier 3, that the RayGun is definitely good at clearing out that. But as you can see here, like the lack of damage on an HVT inside of tier 3 by a triple pack RayGun is quite remarkable. Like, I was really surprised at just how many shots George was taking today to even get completed. We had another player here. He's even shooting into George. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure what the player was using, to be honest with you guys. But the player did actually let me grab my loot. I was a little terrified about that. We finished off George right here into his laser, finished him off. I jumped down and grabbed that loot really quick. We got a PAP2 crystal and 1,500 cash out of the deal. Now, like I said, with crowd control with the RayGun inside of tier 3, it's definitely viable for sure. I mean, you can see on screen right here how it handles a crowd of zombies inside of tier 3. It's definitely viable for that. I just don't feel like the strength on the RayGun is there to deal with bounty contracts or HVTs inside of tier 3. So with that being said, it was time to head out and get to the exfil because I was not enjoying the underpowered RayGun inside of tier 3 dealing with bounty contracts. Like, it's just not strong enough in my opinion. For zombies, 100% yes, for sure. So it was time to make our way out of the match. I was trying to give schematics to these players, but he jumped right off the helicopter, and I was surprised because there was someone down at Legacy right when I was leaving, and I was no way I was going to be able to get to Legacy's fortress and deal with them and get them back up. So we made it out, but overall I would say the RayGun is something I would not want to use inside of tier 3. As always, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.